Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. If you're ever in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. There is parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. And if you're not in our area, we invite you to tune in on Sunday morning at 10:45 a.m. for the Sunday sermon, which goes live at 10:45 a.m. at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. And of course, Monday through Friday, we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that make a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, thank you first of all, for continuing to encourage your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to tune in every day. We thank you for encouraging them to be with us and stay connected with us. So we're Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live at Daily Divine Direction, and we want you to stay connected with us throughout the week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, through our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, where you can reach us at WKAPfaith.com, where we play music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, thank you, because we have so much increase of viewership, listeners and viewership, and all of you have stayed with us throughout the broadcast since we launched in 2017. So it has been a wonderful journey being with all of you, but there's so much more to come. So stay connected. We don't want you to miss anything that we're going to be doing as we continue to move forward. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have been extremely emotional as of lately. You said, however, you are not certain why. And you want to know, how do you get your emotions in check so that you're not lashing out to others, that you're not being, not having a bad attitude, you want to be better. And that's a beautiful thing. We all want to be a better version of ourselves. We should all want to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So I'm going to say this to you. The first thing you have to do is identify the source of your emotions. What is changing your attitude or your behavior? You know, what emotions are you dealing with that are really damaging your emotions? So you got to identify that. And then here's, this is something I will say to you. You indicated in your communication, you have, in your case, you've emptied nests. Now, for some people, being an empty nest is a great thing. For some people, being an empty nest is not so good. You find it to be challenging not to have more people in the household, your children in the household. And the reality is that you can find that actually can be a great thing. It's not a problem if they're at home, but it's a great thing to empty nest, because then you can live the way you choose to live. You can live the way you desire to live without having to take anyone else into consideration except you and your spouse. But you're struggling with that. You're struggling with the fact that you've emptied nests. It's new to you. You know, I was having a conversation recently with some educators who were talking about empty nests. Just the last one is just leaving the house. And they're struggling with that. But in time, you get used to just having your own space, your own peace, your own quiet, and that can be a good thing. So that will allow you to, as you get accustomed to a new norm, that will allow you to have some peace. Now, for those of you that have children who are still at home, whether they're dependent or whether they're not dependent, that's okay too, because we're all in this together. So you got to know that the key is just to find what allows you to have peace in your emotions. But you have to identify that. So, that's one of your triggers for right now. The other trigger is that you've been emotional because you've had some loss in your family. You've had some loss among friends. And you're not our age group. You're still right just short of being a baby boomer. But you've had some loss. One of the things I often remind people is that if people are saved, we don't lose them. If they're saved, if they have their salvation, we don't lose them because we know where they're going. Sometimes one of the struggles is when you have loss, if you don't know if the person is saved, that challenges your spirit. The reason it challenges your spirit is because of your concern for them. So you have to say to yourself, can I do anything about their salvation now that they're gone? You can't. It had to be their choice. So you have to be at peace with that. But then just the fact of losing people or people going home to be with the Lord who are in your age group also tends to sometimes challenge our own mortality. Tends to make us feel that we're up next. Well, the truth is we are up next. But you've got to be ready. And because you're ready, you got to be at peace with that. You got to be at peace knowing where you're going, not having any doubt about that. Knowing that you're going to heaven should be enough to say, okay, I'm going to do the best I can to live here as long as I can with the quality of life. But when it's my time, it is well with my soul. So I'm going to go a little further because that's one of your issues also. And I want to use this to benefit all of our listeners and viewers. So one of the things that I'm going to say to everyone is you've got to decide where you want to go. Because contrary to popular belief, there is a heaven and a hell. And when I say a popular belief, it's probably less popular than the norm. Most people do realize there is a heaven and a hell. But there are people who don't. And so consequently, they really make the decision whether they want to or not. You either going to accept your salvation, enter into your salvation, and as we talked about in Bible study this week, be saved from yourself, and I've used that analogy many times before. You're either going to walk in your salvation or you're going to walk into the hell that you might go through right here on earth, and there is a hell. There's a heaven and a hell. Once you make the decision where you want to go, once you make that decision, then you know where you're going. And then that doesn't mean you want to leave here before your time is up, because God has an appointed day for all of us, an appointed time for each and every one of us. Doesn't mean you want to leave here before that time is up, but you know when that time is up, it is well with your soul. So when you overcome death by knowing where you're going and being at peace with where you're going. And because we know, those of us who are saved, those of us who are Christians, because we know where we're going, death isn't an issue for us. We know it will come. And it is well with our soul. When you get to that place, then you can be at peace. And you can really, as you said, get your emotions in check, because it doesn't become a focal point for you that others in your age group are dying off. Because none of us, my wife and I like to use the term frequently, we'll use the term, none of us are getting out of this alive. We're all going to leave here by death, but then we will be resurrected and we will live on in eternal life. That's the good news. So we just have to be mindful of that. When you get to that place where you're at peace with no matter what comes, no matter when our day comes, no matter when the time comes, you'll be at peace. And in the interim, enjoy the quality of life that God is allowing you to build. Enjoy the quality of life that flows like water. Enjoy the quality of life that the Lord has given to each and every one of us, each and every day that he wakes us up in the morning. Enjoy that. Rejoice in that. And you'll find that you'll have much more peace. That your emotions won't be all over the place. Your attitude will be much better. And it will be well with your soul. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a new automobile, a Porsche, one of the finest automobiles, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com where you will have the opportunity to virtually build out a Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager, PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain that someone helps you to select the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager at PorscheDelaware.com. He will make certain someone schedules an appointment for you, that your vehicle is picked up at your home or office and returned to you when your service is completed, while providing a loaner car for you during your service. PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you have been restless as of lately and want to do so much more than you are currently doing in your personal life. However, your husband does not want to get out of his normal routine. So let me say this. First of all, routine is a good thing. Routine is order. The problem is a lot of people don't like order. So you want to get out of your normal routine. When you get out of your normal routine, you're going to miss some steps. So let me use a running analogy. One of the things that you want to do, so I'm a marathon runner, and one of the things that you want to do when you are running marathons, you want to make certain that you get your body in a good rhythm and you run your race at your pace. Now, what happens for a lot of people is we train for marathons. You can't just wake up on a Saturday or Sunday morning and decide, I'm going to go out and run a marathon. So you're training for a period of time leading up to the marathon. It is a 26.2 mile run, or if you're running a half marathon, it's 13.1 miles. Either way, you have to train for a period of time to get your wind, your breathing at a acceptable level. You've got to make certain that your muscles are toned for running to a certain level. You want to make certain that you're strong enough to endure that type of race because it is grueling. And you do that by getting your body in a rhythm. So you're constantly training from day to day, week to week, month to month until the race. Now, here's the thing. It's a routine. You don't wake up, and I'll use an example. My wife and I, we're runners. So there have been days when we wake up and we say, this one's not going to be a good run day. I'm really not into it. I'm really not feeling it. But you still go out and run because you stay in order and you stay in rhythm. Your body stays in rhythm. Your breathing stays in rhythm. So you keep running. Now you have to continue to increase your mileage. So that too is in order. You have an order for that. You may start out running before you're train. When you start your training, you may start running 2 or 3 miles, and then you have to pick it up from there. So there's going to be days where you start running 5 miles, and then there's going to be a time when you start running 7 miles, and then there's going to be a time when you run a 10 mile. You may be running during the week 5 miles, every other day. For those of us who are baby boomers, because you need one day for your body to rest. You may run 5 miles every other day, and then on Saturday you might run 7 miles. Then you get to a point where you're running 7. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going to take you along. Then you get to a point where you're running 7 miles, 3 times, every other day, and then on Saturday you run 10. And then you may get to the point where you're running 10 miles every other day, and then you run a 14-mile run. And then you build up until eventually on a Saturday you run 21 miles, but during the week you may be running 15 miles every other day. Then that Saturday you might go out and run, or you may run 18 miles every other day. And then you go out one Saturday and you run 21 miles. You never run 26.2 miles when you're training for a marathon until the day of the race. You build up the mileage so that your body's in rhythm. I knew I would get you here. So that your body's in rhythm before the run. That last 5.2 miles, you'll be able to run because you've built up your body and you've run 121 miler. You'll be able to do that. Heart rate's good, body's in rhythm, breathing's good. All of that is in sync. When you are all over the place because you're restless, your body is not in sync. Your body and your mind are not in sync. They're not aligned with one another. So what you want is order. What your husband wants is order in his life. He doesn't want to be all over the place. And you're restless because you're watching other people. You're restless because you see other people doing things in their personal lives, but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors when they close the door. You don't know the struggles they're dealing with because they're all over the place. Because if there's no order, there's chaos. So you've got to know what your husband is trying to accomplish is order in your lives. He doesn't want to get out, you say he doesn't want to get out of his normal routine. To God be the glory. Because if he were all over the place and you're restless and want to be all over the place, what are you both going to get accomplished? What are you going to really accomplish? Not very much. And that's what he's trying to do. Accomplish more so that your family can have a great quality of life from generation unto generation unto generation. That has to be the purpose. Don't look at what you could do today and then not have the quality of life that you desire later. Because that makes no sense. You want calm your spirit down. Rest in the Lord. You said this has been of lately. Stay out of other people's, keep your eyes focused on the prize and not on what other people are doing. That way you can be at peace. You can be at rest in the Lord. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. If you are not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you have a strong personality and tend to rub people the wrong way. And you said, how do you deal with people without rubbing them like sandpaper, you said. I can make a really quick suggestion, recommendation for that. And you've got to learn that other people's point of view can be important, that there may be some validity to the point of view of others, that there may be some validity to other people having a point of view. You have to realize that it may not be so important for you to be heard all the time. I've talked about this with people over the years that, society has done us a disservice in many things that we've been miseducated to believe. example of that is the squeaky wheel gets oiled. Well, that's fine if you're talking about the bearings on an automobile. That's fine if you're talking about a piece of machinery, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about human beings. And when you're squeaky or loud or have to be heard by other people, they are going to listen for a brief period of time. There may be a moment that they will respond to what you're saying, but all of a sudden, all you become is noise. People don't have the same respect for you that they once had. People don't want to be bothered with you when you are rubbing them the wrong way. You want to make certain that you are learning to live in harmony with others. Everything doesn't have to be a battle. Everything doesn't have to be a fight. Everything doesn't have to... Look, you don't have to deal with other people if you're rubbing them the wrong way. They have to deal with you, and that becomes a problem. And this is for all of our listeners and viewers to grab hold of, if everyone has a problem with you, everyone is not the problem. You have to realize that and sometimes it's as simple as humbling ourselves. Just saying everything can't be our way. Everything in life can't be the way we want it to be. Sometimes there are things in life that occur that are teaching us what we need to know to flourish and to thrive. Life experiences are important. You say you have a strong personality, but it's really not that you have a strong personality as much as it is you feel that you have to be heard, and so consequently you will not only be heard, but then you want to convince others that you're right. Sometimes it's just a matter of sharing your opinion, but humbling yourself to say, okay, someone else with someone else's point of view may have some validity. We got to really learn to navigate relationships. We have to learn that other people are living in this world with us. And we have to take other people into consideration, particularly when it involves your career. Particularly when it involves your career. You have to take other people into consideration. No man is an island. What that means is you cannot do this by yourself. You can't live this by yourself. Sooner or later, you're going to have to be able to deal with people. Sooner or later, you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to figure out that you're not going to be the only one. You're not going to be the only one who's heard. You're not going to be the only one who is involved in the environment that you're in, because you have a career. Now you can go home and close the door and live at home by yourself, and you live alone, so that's fine. You can do that. But the moment you set foot outside of that door, you've got to be ready to encounter other people. And you don't have to be ready to encounter them with a bad attitude that's going to lead into rubbing someone the wrong way. You don't have to go outside of your door and encounter other people in your daily walk, in your career, with poor behavior towards others and expect that they're going to respond to you with courtesy. Because that's probably not going to happen. You may find a few people that are still courteous to you, but it's probably not going to happen. So you have to ask yourself, what can I do to be the best version of myself? Maybe I need to tone down my personality because everybody has a problem with me. And if everybody has a problem with you, everybody's not the problem. Today's Daily Divine Direction Broadcast 3D is brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. Have a great weekend, and if you're in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue,